Hi, I'm Holly Williams. Welcome to Holistic Life.
Hey friends, welcome to Holistic Life. I'm Holly, and today we're going to talk a little bit about yoganatomy in the pelvis. So the pelvis is a very interesting place. I actually think I did a fairly decent job of drawing one. It's pretty complex, and we're going to talk about it. So the view that you're seeing right now would be as if I'm facing you. So this is the right side, and this is the left side, so this is my right side, left side. Of course, that's your opposite, but that's okay. We can still look at it this way. So there's two bones called coxal bones, and they are attached in two places. One place that they are attached at is in the back body at the spine and the sacrum. So in the back body where it's attached, we have you can see the last couple vertebrae of the lumbar spine that leads down into the sacrum, which is a fused bunching of vertebrae, and then the last two couple little vertebrae that make up your coccyx or your tailbone. So this big red representation right here is the very end of your spine. Now your left and right side pelvic halves attach right at the sacrum, and then it so it attaches in the back, and then it wraps around into the front. Right here in the front at the pubic bone, there's a disc that's made up of collagen and tissues that help absorb shock between the coming together of bones, called the interpubic disc. So it's interesting to think that your pelvis is only attached by bone in two places, in the back and in the front. So that's how we get this bowl. You've heard it called the pelvic bowl. It is somewhat shaped that way, and you can kind of see how that bowl is shaped in this drawing. I also wanted to highlight that each coxal bone is actually made up of 3 different bones, but they're all fused together. So you can consider it one bone, but for funsies, let's say it's 3 bones all fused together, and I labeled them. So there's the big bone that we all know. You can feel those. That is called the ilium. That big guy, it's like big elephant ears. The second one is the outside front of the pelvis, called the ischium. And then the inner part where it comes together at that interpubic disc is called the pubis. So the reason that we're going to talk about those areas is because, holy cow, this is so fascinating. So the 3 of those bones are fused together. And then, so where does the leg bone come in? So the leg bone obviously comes into the socket of the pelvis. Here's my perfectly drawn head of the femur. And at the head of the femur, so let's call this the head of the femur, just like this, comes into the socket where all 3 of these bones are fused together. You may not be able to see my drawing, but so if this is the top of your leg bone, the top half of it is the ilium, and then you can cut the bottom 2 in half is the ischium and the pubis. So they all come together right there at the socket where your leg bone comes in. And the reason that is important in noting is because when your feet are on the ground and it carries weight up your leg bone into your pelvis, it then gets separated equally. Weight gets distributed into all three of these bones, into the back body, into the front body, and then you can stand up and it goes up into your spine, and then your arms can move. Oh man, you guys, the pelvis is so fascinating. So we've got our three bones, the ilium, ischium, pubis. They are fantastic, and they all come together to help us stand. So thank you, pelvis. Yeah, that right there. They all come together to bear weight equally down into the femur. So then, that's the bony structure of the pelvis. Then we have ligaments. There's ligaments, tendons, there's organs in there. There's all kinds of stuff happening in this pelvic region. You have a bladder there in the middle, your intestines come into there. This is the exit point for your entire digestive system. So everything goes down here to leave your body. So I was looking to see how many ligaments there actually are. And I was going to count them. But there's posterior and anterior ligaments that have the same name, but they're just front and back. So I didn't want to count those as two. And then I realized that the number of ligaments that you have is dependent upon whether you were born male or female. Did not know that. I had to really dig into my notes to find that, and holy cow, you guys, that's a game changer. So the reason that you have different ligaments in the pelvic region, that is where your reproductive system usually lives. So there's different ligaments associated with the different reproductive organs that you have. Women are much more internal and the men's are external, but they're all still attached somewhere in the pelvic region. The last really fascinating part is the shape of these ligaments. Now, when you look at how they attach to the bony structures, it kind of looks like those woven, like lawn chairs. No joke. It literally looks like suspended ropes from point A to point B. And they're just kind of hanging there. They're like big, they look like bungee cords. So some go down. So if we're looking at the big bone of the pelvis here, some of them go from the top down to the lower part of the sacrum, and then some of them go from the lower part up. So they actually then weave into each other, creating this almost trampoline type absorption system so that we can hold and carry weight. Holy cow! Our pubic bones are fascinating. I love reading about this stuff, you guys. My mind just goes when I read all this stuff. So we can consider, since the pelvis is basically attached to the spine, the pelvis can also do movements of the spine. So if you saw my video about movements of the spine, then you'll know that there are 7+ movements, basically forward, back, side to side, twisting left and right, and then extension and compression. So the pelvis can kind of do the same things. It can twist, it can fold forward and back, it can do lateral movements, and It can't really extend because it doesn't have the physical makeup to do so, but you can extend through the legs and then extend through the spine, and those connections can extend and then compress. It's a really great way to deepen any movement practice just by understanding what your pelvis looks like, how it can move, understanding where the connections lie. It sends you into your body, it informs you, and then it allows you to move based on the information that you gather about your own body and movement. I do have a video on connecting feet to the pelvis. That is a whole yoga practice that you can do. Please feel free to go check that out. But I did want to talk just momentarily about how your feet connect to the pelvis. So your first 3 toes, these guys, 1, 2, 3, big toe, second and third toe, those are associated with the inside of your foot, called your ankle foot, also associated with the front portion of the pelvis. So when we put weight into those first 3 toes, the weight then transfers up into the bottom 2, remember the bottom 2 sections of that femur, which is the front body. Fascinating. And then the last 2 toes, the 4th and the baby toe, are then connected to your heel foot, which is the majority of your weight. Your heel is also associated with your back body. That goes up into the back of the pelvis, where the other half of your weight is then distributed into these large bones, then into the sacrum and into the spine and all the way up. So if we can equally distribute our weight from our feet up into the bones of the legs, then it will equally distribute into that pelvic bowl, which will then equally distribute up into the spine, allowing our arms to move more freely, allowing our head to think more clearly, because we're going to just feel so equal all over the place. And that's the pelvis. I love this stuff, you guys. Okay. I hope you learned something. If you didn't, I hope you were at least entertained by my crazy excitement about bones. And I sure hope you enjoy my drawing of the pelvis. I actually did enjoy drawing it, and it turned out pretty good, if I do say so myself. It does still look like an elephant head, but that's kind of what they look like. So enjoy your pelvis today. Stay tuned for some more videos. Breath in the pelvis and 5 simple movements of the pelvis using spinal movements. And check out my other videos. There's lots of them, and lots of them are coming still. So stay tuned. Have a great day. Check me out on Instagram at Holistic Life, and maybe this lets your life be a little bit more holistic too. See you later, guys. Have a good day.